Yes.
All right, here we go. So what I'd like to do is do a hard stop at 4:45 because that's the promise. And after I've been through this presentation twice now, I realized that I think I may have put too much into today's session because there's so much I want to share with you guys before the 8 weeks is up, because once we pass that threshold, it's going to be even more chaotic. And so I'm trying to cram as much as I possibly can, but then I also violate my own law, which is, we got to keep focused on what's immediately ahead of us and not get too far ahead, because then you get overwhelmed. So what I beg of you is indulge me in giving you the systemic view, because that's really, really important as to why you need to get your real estate license, what's coming down the pike, the opportunity as a secondary income stream. So I'm trying to cram all of that in. And the real purpose of these 8 weeks wasn't really to get into any in-depth training. Original thought was me and Kobe was just going to sit here and answer any questions that you may have about getting a real estate license. And even then, all we could have done was to say, well, you got to contact Google, because they're the ones that are running the show. All right, folks, someone needs to mute their microphone. So check your microphone and mute yourself.
I think you can mute us all if you want.
Oh, all right. Hang on. How did we do that? It's all right. Thank you, whoever that was. Thank you very much for doing that. So that was the original plan. We'd sit here for 15, 20 minutes. Me and Kobe take some questions, and most of the answers would have been, go back to CE shop. But then it turned into Ben-Hur. And I thought, well, why not take this opportunity to use this time to impart all of this information that it's not just for you, it's for your kids, especially the future you stuff that I'm going to have to cut one of my sessions out, because I've got up to Anya, who's going to share one of the future skills with you guys over a 3-week period. So there's a lot of stuff that I want to convey to you, impart to you. So at least, if nothing else, I want to leave you with a sense of understanding about why the world is the way it is. It didn't happen overnight, and it took a process, and there's a lot of moving parts. And if I can help you understand what those moving parts are and how they led to us being where we are, then it's going to help you to help yourself you might be made redundant. In the next 5 years, folks, the world is going to be very, very different to what we see now. And if you think now is chaotic and volatile, I can't really describe the magnitude. If you really want to get an insight, there's more stuff that I'll be sharing down the road when we get into the future view stuff. But you can go and check out Mo Gadat, who's the ex AI head of AI for Google. He quit his job 2 years ago, and he's been on the circuit just trying to tell people, please, we got to stop AI from getting out of hand, and we have to slow it down. And there's literally an arms race. And this is a seriously intelligent guy. And if you look up Mo Gadat on YouTube, his message is that AI is far greater threat than nuclear war and climate change combined. So, but we don't get fed that stuff through the news because we get Kardashians and all the drama and the garbage that's going on now. But we all need to be aware about what the repercussions are, not just for ourselves, but future generations. Having said that, there are always opportunities in the time of chaos. And, just some people are built to be their best when things are at their worst. And hopefully, if I can impart these skill sets and this systemic view, you're going to be able to guide yourself and especially your children into the future. So with that, let's begin. Today, we continue our series of making the transition from saving money to making money with Speed Equity. And today's session is 2 of 8. And what my objective is to go into more detail about the 2 potential income streams available to. And I want to quickly recap last week. So we talked about the future of Speed Equity and where it is that I'm going to be on Christmas Day of 2025. That's when I'll be handing over the reins of CEO to my friend, my CTO, and my business partner, Jeevan Anandasakaran. I spoke about him last week. He's not only incredibly intelligent and competent, but he's been with me right from the very beginning. He coded the software, and so he's an integral part of Speed Equity. And there is no one else that knows more about this concept than Jeevan. No one else in 25 years. And so I feel very, very confident that not only is he capable, but he's got the heart of what I call an oxytocin CEO. He cares about people very, very deeply. So I encourage you to go and check out that training video from last week's session where I talk a little bit more detail about Jiva's background, and that's who's going to be taking over. So why get your real estate license? And I mentioned to you, I started this journey actually 2 years before 2018, but 2018 was when I asked the majority of you, would you like to learn more about real estate investing? Because during the one-on-one coaching calls, I'm getting, hey, Haj, we got this equity. We've been with you for a couple of years now. What do we do? And so my goal was to find a reputable company that offers real estate education and training that had these attributes. They had a solid reputation. They provided quality real estate education at a fair price. Now, when I started looking around, there's everything from free stuff on YouTube, which is, you pay for what you get sometimes. But it's the time-consuming aspect of overcoming the three challenges of the information age. And I mentioned that last time. We're all faced with three massive challenges. And one is the sheer volume of information that's out there, and that's about to get way worse with AI generating content automatically at way faster speed than what we can. So it's the volume of information that we have to go through, and then we have to shift through the accuracy of that information, because if you think fake news is alive now, just wait until AI takes over. So we have to go through volume of information, accuracy of information, and then the final step is the redundancy of information, in that the information that we have that you've come across through this ocean, is it still valid or is it outdated? The half-life of an engineer's knowledge in 1993 was predicted to be 7.5 years. I'm predicting that that's probably go down to a year, maybe 6 months once AI fully takes over. So redundancy of information is incredibly important. There's a lot of resources out there, and I do this full time, and I could not find any company in this price range that I thought that I would be willing to pay. So how did I know that I think I have a pretty good idea of what I'm doing? So I want to get you guys to motivate yourself to get your real estate license in the 8 weeks that we have. I got my license in 2014, and I got it not because I wanted to be a real estate agent, but because I wanted to understand the industry. And I have done, I think, as deep a dive as anybody. And all I did was just look at data and research. That's what I do. I then, after I got my license, I went back to the Washington Department of Licensing, and I said, hey, I want to teach these courses on mortgage acceleration, help you pay up your homes. And they said, well, you have to become an instructor. So there was a bunch of hoops I had to run through that.
Haj, can I interrupt for 1 second?
Of course.
I'm stepping through the slides with you by clicking it on my computer, and I see that you're following the slides. I wonder if that's apparent to everybody else who's watching.
Oh, folks, are you seeing? I'm just transitioning the slide right now. Are you seeing the slide that I've just moved to?
I see 8 weeks, get your real estate license, and 4 check boxes, 2014 course instructor, all that. But I've been stepping through all the way, and I don't think anyone else is moving along. You're not moving them along, are you?
That was the idea, but apparently all things. Hang on, let me.
I just wanted to let you know.
Okay, let's try this. Okay, let me. Rick, thank you so much for that. That's the sort of feedback I need. This is
back to the first page. I can see it.
All right, now what do you see?
Purple across the top and 5 bullet points.
Okay, now we're synced. I realized what I had to do, and I had to click a button, which I didn't. So that's my fault. So where are we? So we got to here, which is getting a real estate license. You saw that now, the 4 check boxes. We're good? Excellent.
Yep.
So why get your real estate license? It's the lowest barrier to entry for real estate education. Number 2, it's the best return on investment on your time, your energy, and your money. Number 3, you'll learn how to invest in real estate correctly by law instead of trying to cut corners, which is what some of these guys instruct you to do. You don't want to do that. You're dealing with people's livelihoods, and especially your own. You want to do it properly, and you want to do it properly the right time the first time. Once you have this base knowledge, number 4, you'll be able to analyze real estate programs based on their value instead of thinking, that sounds like a good deal. Folks, that sales is something I just never got into. It doesn't excite me. What excites me is coaching and imparting knowledge. And I'm really good at that because I enjoy it and I'm very passionate about it. But there are some incredible salespeople, including that company, Jeevan and I went to their funnel, the weekend funnel, where talk 211 people into forking out $70,000 in the hottest property market in the United States with no inventory. That's how good sales can be. We don't do sales. We do empowerment. We do education, and we guide people. And sales is important, but that's not what drives us. What drives us is making a difference. So get your license. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't pay for education, by the way. We're going up December now. So in the last 2 years, I've probably spent about $45,000 on personal business and courses that I needed knowledge about. So I'm the first one to go, yeah, I don't have that knowledge. I'm going to pay for it. Now, I'll give you an example. I just forked out 24 grand for a business coaching program, and then they keep wanting to give me an accountability coach. And it's starting to get a little bit bothersome because I keep saying, no, I'm good. I just needed these resources. Thank you very much. I'm more than happy to pay $24,000 and I'll watch these videos on my own. And the success path that they've given me, well, I think I'm like 6 steps ahead of everybody else because I don't have time. I just need the knowledge and the resources, and I'm happy to pay for it. So please don't get me wrong when I say don't pay exorbitant amounts. Don't pay exorbitant amount of money for little value, and you won't be able to analyze whether something has value or not. So getting your real estate license is going to go a very, very long way. Number 5, worst case scenario is that you're going to save 6% commission on your next purchase and sale, 3% on the sale of your home, 3% on the next purchase of your home. If that's a $400,000 transaction either side, that's $24,000 for 40 hours worth of work and a couple of $100. I don't know where you can get a better return on investment and educate yourself and prepare yourself for investing in this sector. Don't do what everybody else does, and that's take the lazy way. And look, there's plenty of people that are more than happy to take your money, and you know where to find them. But that's not going to happen here. Here, we are about helping each other and making sure that what we bring to the table is incredibly valuable and everybody wins. Everybody walks away from the table thinking that was a fantastic interaction, right? We underpromise and we always, always, always over-deliver. That's what we do here at Speed Equity. So you get your license, and one of those resources that you have access to, and I played Connor's clip from his YouTube presentation, a house flipping course, an investing accelerated course, as well as a whole community of agent investors. So you'll have access to all of that at zero cost to you. You heard that clip, and again, it's going to be in that agenda, so you can watch that presentation again. He said last year they've had someone come through and became a millionaire as a result of the course that he's going to give us at zero cost because he's in what we call our upline. And that's the great thing about EXP is that I was listening to another presentation by Glen Sanford talking about how he created this revenue model, and he understood the concept of self-managing, self-directing teams and a concept called co-opetition, which I haven't heard anybody use that term since the late 90s. And so the traditional methodology is, you butt heads, you compete front on. But co-opetition means that you're still competing potentially for the same resources, but at the same time, you do realize that if you work together, the old adage that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That's a learning organization that understands symbiosis, symbiotic relationships. It doesn't just go out there like a parasite or a cancer and just tries to consume everything. It understands that it's a part of an ecosystem. It's there to give and take. And then the whole ecosystem thrives. If you want to watch a wonderful example of that, there's a documentary about when I think it was the gray wolves that were reintroduced back to Yellowstone National Park, and how not only did they change the flora, but also the fauna. There was birds coming into the area and new growth because the predators were keeping in check the prey so that they didn't get out of hand. That's what nature does. Unfortunately, we've forgotten that lesson, and we're just into consume, consume, consume. No one's going to survive that, folks. And so, if we want to create something wonderful, then who's going to do it if not us? You look, it feels like the world is falling apart. Well, but we don't have to let it fall apart. Now, potential income. I didn't get a chance to go into a great deal of detail last week, and certainly today, I don't think we're going to have time to go through everything. So I'm thinking we might need to do a 2-part series. I'll give you the big picture in this one, and maybe Kobe, if you're okay, perhaps next weekend. I had something else that I want to go into, but let's focus on the big picture. Don't stress out on the fine details. Just stay with me on the big picture. And Kobe, just jump in and correct me if I'm wrong in my presentation. And the reason that I wanted to convey the revenue side is I'm a layperson. And so my desire is to try and explain it, hopefully in a way that everybody else can understand it. Whereas if you're the situational expert, and my desire is to get feedback from you today to go, okay, that's pretty good, or no, this is, so that's what I'm looking for from you after we're done today's session. But I'm going to do my best to try and explain at the base concept what someone would need to go, hey, this is an interesting proposition. Let me play around with the resources here. And so if I can, make this attempt, and then next week when you come, you're going to be the situational expert and you take all the questions. And by that time also, folks, what we'll be able to do is to give you more resources that you can go and look at from the income generation side with EXP, and then you'll be able to ask more informed questions. So that's my goal today. We're probably not going to have the time to go over everything in depth, but now it's a two-part session. Is everyone okay with that? Because this is really, really important. This is the reason why you want to go and get your real estate license. This is the carrot at the end of that stick. All right, so I won't do a poll, but we're good. Now, let me just go through quickly what the agenda for today is. We're going to cover what is the wealth mindset, and based on research, not fluff. And then I'll go through the other 4 or 5 points. So how many of you have read this book, The Millionaire Next Door? Right? I know all of you, I mentioned this at one point or another. This is the reference book in my book on mortgage acceleration. And it was published in 1998. 1998. 1 year after Speed Equity made its debut on national Australian television in Australia. And the reason I love this book, as far as wealth creation is concerned, is that it was written by 2 researchers. And now, back then, you actually did really good research, not the fake stuff that's coming out now. And Dr. Anya is going to be talking about that in the future view aspect. And so these guys actually did research like the way research is supposed to be done. And they got 733 respondents, people with a net worth of $1 million or more, who completed a 9-page questionnaire with 277 lifestyle questions. Now, folks, as a scientist, if you're running an experiment and you get maybe 20 people in your study, you go and celebrate. You get 100 people, you're like taking all your mates down to the pub and having a party. You get 733 people, you can literally take that to the bank, which is what they did. They took those responses, 733 completed questionnaires, and they were able to analyze that information and come up with 7 traits that all millionaires share in common. And guess what? I've been doing with you guys, Speed Equity has been helping you develop 5 of those 7 traits. One of the 7 traits is they don't practice financial outcare for their adult children. Well, we don't go into that, but if I wanted to, we could easily go in and say, yeah, we cover all 7 traits. I can't remember the other one that we miss out on, but Speed Equity, by you going through this process, you are actually laying down the foundation of good money management, being able to take on debt, manage debt, pay it back, take on more debt, not to consume, but to produce. So 733 respondents. One of the 7 success traits that they isolated, and I mentioned this in my book, is that millionaires allocate their time, energy, and money efficiently in ways conducive to building wealth. So they allocate their time, their energy, and their money efficiently in ways conducive to building wealth. So I'm not going to go into the mindset because guess what? Chapters 1, 2, and 3 in the book that you have, I talk about the mindset that's required in order to make the system work. But a lot of that is actually from research from people like William Stanley and Thomas Stanley, William Danko, Professor Elaine Kempson out of the University of Bristol in England. I work with Professor Tom Garman out of Virginia Tech University. He's a world authority on financial stress in the workplace and the implications that it has in terms of increased healthcare costs and lower productivity and ultimately loss of profits in companies. So all of that research is what I draw from when I try and convey to you all of this stuff. And so I'm giving you the Reader's Digest version of all this. So if you can take the time to read chapters 1, 2, and 3, that will cover the whole mindset component of becoming wealthy. Now, next part, also very, very short, how to analyze a revenue stream based on 3 variables: ROI versus cost and risk. And that is covered in chapter 18 of my book. So if you please read that, you'll notice that I use this schematic, which is a triad that's interconnected and interdependent. And the 3 variables are, and I'm just going to read to you the summary from that page in the book. So to summarize this chapter, I'm not here to give you a long monologue about how to invest, because that's not what this book is about. My primary objective is to get you started on getting rid of the single largest debt you have by teaching you how to make more efficient and more effective and efficient use of your existing financial resources. Right? Allocate your time, your money, and your energy efficiently in ways conducive to building wealth. Along the way, I hope you picked up some fundamental money management principles that will serve you well when you're ready to take the next step to invest all that equity that you're going to accumulate in rapid time. And here we are. What a wonderful day that now you're all ready to take this next journey. And I'm so happy and so honored that you invited me along to share this with you. And I can only tell you that it gladdens my heart to know that my life's work has yielded fruit. And next week, I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, but I wanted to get all of you guys and show you how to create your mortgage survival plan. Here we go. Let me pull that up for you right here. So next week's topic was going to be how to create your personal mortgage survival plan using the Speed Equity software. Why? Because this person who's going to be our special guest for that session, not next week, probably the week after now, or I might just record Matt and Jeannie and then get their permission to show you and just share with you the experiences that they went through, which was absolutely terrifying in that they thought they were going to lose their home. So using Speed Equity, we transitioned from Speed Equity Mortgage Acceleration to Speed Equity Mortgage Survival. And I want to teach you guys how to do that as well, because that's why I keep saying, please, please go in, update your software every single month, because what you don't want to do is be caught in an emergency and go, oh, I don't really know where my money's going in and out. You do not want to be in that position. It's like you're lost in the woods and you're hanging off a cliff and you go, oh, I should have packed that rope for that carabiner. But it's too late now. You're hanging on the edge of a cliff. So please don't put yourself in that position. So that's why I encourage you every single month, please, please go update your software. Compare your forecasted HELOC balance with your actual balance. Make sure that the discrepancy is within $200 to $300. Make sure that you have 3 months worth of data and then you act on it. Don't worry, I'll teach you how to do that. We'll create a video and then I'll be more than happy to answer questions about that. So that was going to be next week. We'll push that out a week further and then fingers crossed we'll get the Egglestons out. And boy, do they have a story to tell. And if they can't convince you to create your mortgage survival plan, I don't know who else can, because they were on the brink of losing their home to foreclosure. And it was a combination of getting the right HELOC and using the software that showed them how much time on tarmac that they had, so that they could then go, oh, we're not going to lose our home straight away. We've got this much time left. So I know I keep berating about this, but that's also really critical for you being a part of the founder member group. It's not just, hey, we like you, Haj, can we come on in? No, yeah, I love you, but I also need you to be competent. And you'll understand why in just a second when I show you the resources that we've got, or you're going to be getting access to. So let me get back here. Becoming a founding member, that means I'm looking for 150 core members. That's based on Robin Dunbar's research. We'll go into that during the Future View training, which is probably week 5 and 6. And I'll talk about learning organizations, self-managing teams, how do they operate, how do they manage themselves. So we'll go into that. And EXP is a full-blown learning organization. You'll also have access to proprietary resources and training, and then you'll be a part of launch of Speed Equity Grassroots Movement 3.0. So 8 weeks, the bare minimum that I need you to do in order to just turn up to selection, we call it, right? So the bare minimum is you got to be really conversant with using Speed Equity. Number 2, you have to have your license. So then there's another set of criteria that I need to put you through, but it's not going to be as difficult as trying to get your real estate license. That's about the most time-consuming thing that I'm asking you to do. So Once you come on board, as I said, you're going to get access to proprietary resources and training. And this line of demarcation is, on this side, you're going to be able to go and generate income without being a part of this calendar script. So I don't want you to freak out. This is just where I'm taking speed equity. And I've only got 2 years to do this, because regardless of where we are on Christmas Day 2025, I am handing over the reins to Jeevan. And my goal is to till this soil as much as I can, teach you how to be gardeners, teach you how to put up fences, so that this garden not only nourishes us, but it nourishes all those who come after us. That's why I'm so adamant. And now let me show you another reason. One of the resources that Jeevan and I developed over, gosh, when did we start work on this? I think it was 2014. It's a full-blown employee benefit program, speed equity employee benefit program. Step-by-step guides for human resources and managers to onboard and implement that for their organization. There's all of the research about financial stress, including the data. We've got the website built, all of the different impacts that financial stress has. 47% say they have an inability to focus on work. 46% say they have issues with overall stress. These are all data and metrics that HR, when they look at this, the first reaction that they have, and by the way, we've got proof of concept here, and the initial reaction is, are you an academic? And I tell them, no, I'm just a researcher. And then the reaction is, oh, you've certainly done the research, because they know all this stuff, right? So you got to know all this stuff. So when you talk to someone and they're like, I'm not sure about this shady character, but then when you start speaking the same lexicons and you understand the problems and issues that they're having, that's when you get someone say, oh, do you have a solution for this? And yes, we do. There's a calculator that Jeevan built, and that was the result of working with Tom Garman over at Virginia Tech University. And so I looked at all of his research and I said, Jay, we can actually build a calculator based on all of his findings, 200 research papers that he's done, that he was involved with, numerous academic studies and books he's authored. So we created this really simple calculator that, a HR manager can simply type in the number of employees they've got. The percent that are financially distressed right now is 52% of Americans are saying that they're severely financially distressed. So just with 500 employees with 29% that are financially stressed, that's costing that company $108,000 in increased healthcare costs and lost productivity. So CEOs know this stuff. HR managers know this stuff. So when we come along and go, we got a solution, and yeah, we understand your language. And then we show them all of these other resources that they can go, oh yeah, we didn't do the research on this aspect. We want to come to the table so laden with fruit and bounty that people go, what else do you have? Right? Under promise, over deliver. That's the goal. And I hope that I have done that for you in my coaching, because it's not something that you do because you read in a textbook and it's fancy and it's part of the latest trend of managing people. No, it's who we are. You can't fudge this stuff. You either care about people or you just want to take advantage of them. There's a wonderful fan member that we have, David Rankin. He's a financial advisor, and he's got a really good saying. And I said, do you mind if I use that with our fam? And he said, when I'm consulting with someone, I say to them, I'm here to help you, but the last thing I will do is to hurt you. And I thought that was such a beautiful saying. And I'd like to, get David on talking about some of the nonprofit stuff that he's involved with as well, because we have an enormous amount of talent within our family. We've got everyone from CEOs to bus drivers to airline pilots to landscapers. We have life. And you would not believe the privilege that I've had to get to know you. And I look at what you do and I think, my gosh, I could never do that. So I'm in an extremely privileged position. And my job is, someone said to me, why are you going through all this stuff? Because you could easily just, pay someone $20 an hour and just wait till I show you the actual numbers. And I said, yeah, I could do that. But what's the point? The point of a family is you take your whole family with you. You guys are my family. And I'm not going to leave you behind. So I have 2 years to make this happen. So what else we got? We got videos on employee financial stress for this, all for HR, the cost to the organization, the real truth about how to manage financial stress within an organization. This is all using Professor Kempson's research and Tom Gowman from Virginia Tech. And the best part is that I told you last week that I'm in the process of jumping through an enormous number of hoops, besides getting the courses certified, another set of courses certified from the Washington State Department of Licensing. We're going to use those as that employee benefit program. And then I'm looking to get federal certification that essentially will allow us to provide this at almost zero cost to the employer. That's what I'm putting into your hand. That's the trust and the life's work that I'm putting into your hand. And I trust you because you're my family. If I can't trust you, who else am I going to hand it off to? Someone that I just pick off the street for $20 an hour? No, you've been with me for years. So you're here because you know my heart and my soul, and I know yours. And you're here because we share that passion and that we share that willingness to, and a desire to make a difference in the lives of other people. So what else? Well, I'm not going to go into this much at all. There was another concept that I've created called the sticky agent, based on all of the reports that I read from the National Association of Realtors since 2012. Essentially, these reports are the most comprehensive, up-to-date research on the home buyer, home selling industry anywhere in the world. They sent out 127 question survey to buyers who purchased in the July to June cycle. And this analysis that they have in these reports is based on over 6,000 completed questionnaires. Remember I said 20 for a scientific study? It's like, yeah, that's great. You get 100, you're partying, 733 for the Millionaire Next Door. Every year, the NAR gets 6,000 completed questionnaires. You can literally bank your whole real estate career on what's in these reports. But you know what? No one reads them because the education division is headquartered in Washington, D.C., along with their lobby arm. And I needed permission to use the graphics. And you'll see up here, it says used with permission. And they said, you actually read those reports? I said, yeah. He said, oh my gosh, what do you think? Because no one else reads these reports, right? Because they're so dry and boring. But if you do, there is an enormous amount of information in there as a real estate agent. So these are the things that I discovered. Referrals versus leads. Why should you go for referrals versus leads? It's not as obvious as you think. The 4 lead generating gimmicks that real estate agents get sucked into paying thousands and thousands of dollars, even to this day. And if they were to look at those reports, they would see statistically that they should never be spending that money. The 1960s myth that people do business with people who know, like, and trust you, well, we're going to throw that under the bus as well. And then the stickiness factor. What is it? Why is it so critical in, oops. Oh dear. Where do we go? Ah, shoot, never mind. Just give me a second, folks. All right, found my way back again. So the stickiness factor. You're going to get access to all of those resources as part of being a founding member. Now I would like to segue into the best revenue stream with minimum cost and risk, but maximum ROI. And before I do that, I want to show you this very short clip, 1 minute and 38 seconds. And it's Glenn Stanford, who is the CEO and founder of EXP, talking about what the potential over the next 5 years. So I'll just wait for everybody else to catch up and give them 1 more minute. But folks, this is out of the horse's mouth. And this man is not prone to exaggeration. As I said, I've listened to probably well over 100 hours of just nothing but interviews of Glen Sanford, and he has been consistent every single step of the way. That's when you know someone doesn't deviate, because you just got to look for patterns. And I'll teach you, how I analyze stuff. It's not very difficult. It's just a process. And this man, he's not a showboater. He's a doer, and someone needs to mute their microphone, if please. Thank you. So when he says that in 5 years' time, this company is going to produce between 50 to 100,000 millionaires. My desire is that out of that 50,000, 150 of those are the founding members of Speed Equity. That's my desire and goal for you. So the door is open, and now let's look at some of this revenue share as far as the numbers are concerned. Now, when you finish today's session, oh my gosh, I'm already going over time. I'm so sorry, guys. Is it okay if I continue? Are you guys okay with this? It's being recorded. If you need to go, I won't be offended. You will get the rest of this information. But there's just so much I want to share with you guys that I'm going to be much more diligent. It's more organized this week than it was last week, so we're making progress. And I was telling Anthony that I literally had to learn this morning at 3 o'clock how to work this thing, because it's a fantastic platform, and this is what I'm going to get you to use to make these presentations, because once it works and you know how it works, it's just an absolute breeze. So first thing I want to talk about is revenue stream number one. These are direct referrals. So that means if you have a friend, family, or neighbor who wants to buy or sell a home, you literally plug them into the EXP portal. It'll find an agent for you. There's 88,000 of them all across the world, but 50,000 here in the United States. There's not a zip code, I don't think, that we don't occupy. So you bring that person in, you put their information into the EXP platform. It helps you find a real estate agent in that geolocale. You can look at their reviews, and then that's it. And so I'm just looking at this portion here. So let's say you bring in someone who's buying a home for $400,000. The real estate agent who's doing the actual transaction is probably going to get about 3% of that, which is $12,000. And you, my dear family, have the opportunity to get 25% of that 3%, which is $3,000. That's the easiest money you're ever going to make. It is, and I already described to you one family member that I put through this process, less than 5 minutes. And 6 weeks later, I get a call saying, "Hey, Haj, that's great. It all worked." And they cut me a check for $2,500 for 5 minutes worth of work. You've all got family, friends, and neighbors. So if nothing else, get your license and then just plug people into the EXP portal. It's money for jam, as we call it. Now, I designed this for the employee benefit side, but let's say you bring 10 companies, small businesses with 100 employees, and you sign up 1,000 people into the Speed Equity ecosystem, because there's 5 touch points that I've created. It's not just what you guys did when you came in on being my one-on-one coaching clients. You basically got everything that I've got. And so over the past 4 or 5 years that I've been coaching, I've noticed that there are kind of aggregates of information that seems to have a life of its own. And I'll give you one example is home affordability. Should you buy a home or should you didn't? We actually have a family member right here who's in that process. And I've said to Anthony, what you want to do is be able to put in the numbers as if you've got your home, and then the software can project into the future. And then if you need to replace, the HVAC or appliances, you can plug all of those variables into the software and then look at where you're going to be in 2 months, in 6 months, in 12 months, in 5 years down the road. So you can project what's ahead of you on this journey, so you can start to deviate your course of action instead of falling into a pit. So, so affordability is a completely independent module that we're going to be creating, and it's not going to be $4,000. It'll be at a much more affordable price point because they'll only get a chunk that they need, and then Jeevan's working on the software to only enable certain functionalities to be turned on and off depending on what level people are at. You guys get the full kit and caboodle. So let's say you get 1,000 people into the ecosystem. According to the national numbers, 66% of those can be expected to be homeowners. So that's 660 people in this ecosystem. And assuming that 10% of those each year are in the process of buying and selling a home, and you capture 20% of that, that means that's 13.2 transactions at this ROI, and this right here is your additional revenue stream, just under $40,000. Right now, I'm in talks with 2 organizations. One of them has over 48,000 employees. And so, as Glenn said, it's just mind-boggling. And yeah, I could go and hire, someone for $20 an hour, but wouldn't it be great if you guys step up and I can then pass on business to you. Now, it's not going to be the 25%. There'll be a different, if I have to bring in the business, there'll be a different remuneration structure, but this is available to you guys. And so that's the direct commission referral income. So let's 400,000, agent gets 3%, that's 12%, you get 25% of that, that's $3,000. You will have access to this Google Sheet, and you're more than free to play around with it. You might need to, I think, make a copy. You guys figure that out. And then here's the other opportunity. So this is the recruiting division of EXP. On the direct commission side, that means you find someone and then you bring them in, you plug them into the portal, you get 25%. Now, EXP, this is where the revolution comes in their ability to, and you just got to listen to Glenn's logic. It was absolutely brilliant and very, very timely in the way that he did this. And I'll go into more detail when we talk about learning organizations. But let's say you now go to your county and you approach 10 agents and you say, I've got a unique value proposition that will help you help people find their dream home and show them how to own it years sooner. Oh, what's that? And we got an employee benefit. Now we're using this intellectual property to recruit agents. Why would they want to come and join you? You're brand new off the cab of unless you got something valuable to offer them to generate more business, you got no business talking to these people. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to provide incredible value to every real estate agent that we join, and we're going to help them close more deals. Because when we help them close more deals, we get paid. So let's assume you get 10 capping agents, and I won't go into, we'll go into that in 10 capping agents, extra $28,000 in revenue per year. And all you're doing is providing a little bit of support on the speed equity side to these agents. And in fact, we're going to do most of the heavy lifting anyway, but you just bring these agents into our ecosystem and say, we've got these resources that'll help you generate more business. So between these two, you know, bringing 10 agents and a combination of the two, this cell here will just give you the total revenue that you can generate. So I'll let you play with this in your own time. I don't think it's going to impact my side because I've locked it. That means you can play around, but it's not going to interfere with the formulas in there. So I want you guys to play around with this calculator between now and next week, and then you know, just we'll put in some more resources in our Facebook group that I think are really good in succinctly explaining the revenue structure. But this is really important. I don't want you to get so overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, you know, where's this money going to come from? No, you haven't even got your license yet. That's 6 weeks away. So let's not waste our time focusing on stuff that we don't need to focus on. Remember, my adage is, through the success path, I keep you focused on exactly what's immediately ahead of you. That's what we got to, I'm giving you the big picture because this is what it's like when you're starting something from the ground up. It's chaotic, it's volatile, it's unpredictable, it's complicated, and sometimes it's ambiguous. Fortunately, it's not ambiguous for me. It's just really volatile, unpredictable, and complicated right now. And so you get to see the inception of what's going on in my mind as I'm trying to convey this information to you, but I also don't want you to get overwhelmed. So the only thing that I'm asking you to do is get your real estate license. And whether some of you already done that, some of you may wait right up until the last week and go, yep, I'm just going to trudge it and make it across that finishing line. Fine. It doesn't matter. There's just a criteria, and there's a criteria and there's a timeline to meet that criteria. That's just the way that I've grown up with the people that I've been very fortunate to work with. They don't require hand-holding. You just say, here's the job, get it done, and you go and get it done. And you don't get pats on the back for a job well done. It's just, yeah, here's your next job. So that's what we want to do, is focus on what's immediately ahead of you, get your license, and the rest of it will fall into place. Rome wasn't built in a day, and we're certainly not going to accomplish this in the short amount of time that we have. So any questions on what your task is between now and our next session? Play around with this calculator and figure out what the possibilities are for yourself. So with that, Kobe, do you want to give a quick synopsis if you don't mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is really incredible as far as from what I've seen. So I know some of you know a little bit about who I am, and some of you have no idea who I am. I got my real estate license about 3 years ago, coming up on probably 4 years now, and I was only 18 years old at the time.
Kobe, so here's what I request. I'm sorry, I wasn't clear in my instructions. We're going to leave your backstory for next week because then we'll have more time. But I just wanted to get your take on, did the explanation make sense about how to use the calculator and play around with the buttons? That's all you got to do is just play around. That's all we need people to do at this stage. And so next week, I'm thinking everyone's going to have 1,000,001 questions. That's when we'll answer the questions, not today, because there's too many unknowns and we need to have everybody else elevate their level of knowledge, because otherwise we're just going to be spinning our wheels answering really silly questions that can be found somewhere else. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it did. I would go back and maybe we can do this next week. Actually, explain lines 2 through 7 and what does that mean. I think that's probably better for next week.
Mhm.
But everything else makes sense. Yeah, just as you guys play around with the calculator, make sure to make a copy of the Excel sheet so that way it becomes editable.
All right. So, folks, anyone want to unmute yourself? Any questions? We're starting to wrap it up now. And
Yeah, Hard. This is Blaine. Just a real quick question regarding the course structure. So it doesn't necessarily matter where we go to do the pre-licensure courses for whatever state that we reside or would like to get our license. So, for example, you could use the CE shop, or you could use Colby Real Estate, or you could use something else. It just matters that we sign up for the course and fulfill those pre-licensing requirements for the state that we are looking to have our license. Is that correct?
Kobe, can I answer that just to practice? You don't mind? And then
Absolutely.
just hop in if I'm off track, because I'm trying to. This is one of the things that I've got this steep learning curve on. So you can get your real estate license through any one of the your education. So you have to go through the pre-qual, and those numbers vary. So Michigan, Alaska, 40 hours, but if you want to do real estate business in your state, then you have to be licensed in your state. And so Washington.
So Florida has 63 hours, and I'm going to go through the pre-licensure for Florida, which is 63 hours. I'm just curious as to, there's no preferred outlet that you would like us to use in terms of getting that education. We can go whatever outlet works for us, or is there something specific that you would like us to be using to do that?
I don't have any preference. I've always stuck with the CE shop because I'm not sure that they're the easiest or the most fun, but it's just something that I've acclimatized to and I'm used to their format. So I always go through them because I understand it and I don't want to have to learn something new. I understand when I sign up for my 30 hours continuing education every 2 years, I know what to expect. And it might be inefficient, but I go through CE shop. It doesn't matter who you go through. What matters is if you want to be actually doing the real estate transactions in your state, that means you have to be licensed in your state. So you go through your training and then they go, yep, you passed the 40 hours. And then you take that and then you do the state exam. And then there's FBI fingerprint and all that sort of stuff. So that's all the fun stuff that you guys have got to look forward to. So that's all on you. And so to answer your question, no, it doesn't matter who you go through. If you find something that's, works for you, go for it.
The only other question that I would have is, and I have to go back and look at the DDPR, which is Florida's professional regulatory agency that goes over real estate. What the requirements are, I don't know that we have to have a selected office to do the exam, or whether we can, once the pre-licensure is done, we can actually sign up for the exam without having selected a specific agency or broker. And I didn't know if, how to go about that if we did have to select an office, if we have a plan.
Can we answer that next week? Or Blaine, because you're ahead of the curve, can you hook up with Kobe? Because you might need to have a broader conversation.
Sure, and I can wait. And I apologize for getting a little bit
ahead. No, not at all, not at all. I think these are great questions, and so let's have these saved up for next week, and especially if we can put them in the Facebook group. That way, we, especially Kobe, can pre-plan to answer every question that we've got. Does that sound good?
Roger that.
Beautiful. All right, so folks, let's start to finish this up with a recap. So get your real estate license, lowest barrier to entry for real estate education, best ROI on your time, energy, and money. You learn how to invest in real estate correctly by law and not cut any corners. And this is really what you're going to be able to walk away with, is the ability to analyze real estate programs based on value, so you don't get ripped off. And not just real estate investing, but just to understand how certain systems work and how people fudge their way around that. That's just as valuable as knowing, what to do. So worst case scenario, you save 6% on your purchase and sale on your next home, and you saw the additional income streams. And we were talking about generational wealth. There are EXP agents right now that are pulling in several $1 million a month. I'm sure there's one gal, she's got 9,000 agents underneath her. And but she was one of the founders of EXP, and she built the infrastructure. But 10 agents, there's 1.5 million of them out there, and the real estate industry is about to undergo a massive economic storm, and we're going to survive it. So, and I want you guys to come with me, because it is going to be so much fun. No one wants to go on a boring roller coaster. Tell any kid when they go to Disney World, this is like adult Disney World. And so I don't mean to be, glib about this, but when you've been watching something for 30 years and you see the outcomes exactly the way that you predicted things, we'll just wait till we get to the future view stuff. And then I'm going to bring in Dr. Anya. And then there's another researcher out of Sydney, Dr. Stephanie Burns. If I can convince her to come and teach, just maybe 30 minutes of one of the future skills, you will see the level of competency that we have, not just, on my side, but also our family. And it's valuable resources. Rick Katz is one of the master salesmen that I've ever met. Genuine, sincere, commanding presence. When he speaks, it's like, who's that? James Earl Jones. Rick, you want to say something?
That's too much pressure, Haj.
You see,
James Earl Jones, the greatest speaker of all time. I don't know if I can live up to that.
Next best thing. So we have Rick, who's sales, and I've said to Rick, just time, and then we'll come in your talent as well. So this is us family, right? So imagine we're in this garden, we're tilling it together, and we're going to produce bountiful fruit, not just for ourselves, but for everybody else to share in as well. So worst case scenario, you get access to this course. And as you heard, there's already $1 million that's come out of that. And all you have to do is 40 hours and a couple $100. So founding members, we'll discuss that after the 8 weeks. Just get yourself prepped, and you'll get access to all those resources that I talked about. And let me leave you with this. One of the other 7 traits, success traits of millionaires, is that they are proficient at targeting opportunities and quickly take action. Proficient at targeting opportunities and quickly take action. Why are they able to quickly take action? Because at any given point, one of the other attributes is that they know exactly where they are on their financial roadmap. So when an opportunity does come around, they don't have to procrastinate and go, oh, I'm not sure, if I do this, I'm not going to be able to pay the electricity bill. No, they know exactly what opportunities that they can take advantage of. So that's why I asked you every month, please go in and update your HELOC balance. Understand exactly where you are and where you're going to be, because when these opportunities come, and there are going to be plenty of them, you don't want to be standing around going, oh, I got to update. I'm not sure if my regular expenses are correct, because you haven't kept track of them for the last 6 months. And now you got this great opportunity, but should you or shouldn't you? No, you shouldn't, because you're not ready. Which brings me to the number one secret that I didn't discover. It was someone told it to me. It was a very, very valuable lesson that I got from this person. And he said, Haj, you know what the secret to success is? There's only 2 ingredients, only 2. Opportunity has to make success, readiness. Opportunity has to come together with readiness. So how many of you are saying, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to make a ton of money? You put your hand up, you sign up for all these courses, right? A ton of people say, I'm ready. And then when the opportunity comes, they find out that they're not ready. They thought they were ready. So make sure that you're truly ready for an opportunity. Glenn Sanford has already said that he's expecting 50 to 100,000 millionaires to come out of EXP. Why can't we be one of those 150 out of those 50,000? Look at the resources that we have. Look at the skill and the competency that we've got in our own family. We're going to bring all of that to bear. And so we got 2 years. Folks, like I said, any fool can make money, but to do it in a way that's this exciting, this to me is something worth committing to, because there are so many what's called processional effects along the way. So opportunity has to meet readiness. This is an opportunity of a lifetime, and it's up to you whether you choose to be ready. You got 8 weeks, 6 more weeks left to go. Get your license. That's the start line. Now, let me very briefly talk about this. Some of you already started to ask about inviting family and friends into this adventure. And yes, I always welcome referrals, but here's what I would recommend that you do. At the end of this training session, you're going to receive, I think, a video, an email with a video recording, and you can forward that link to your friends and family, because what I'm going to recommend that they do is learn more, right? None of you have had that conversation with me where you're asking me questions about how the system works. What have I said for those of you that do? Oh, it's in the book, or watch my video. Everybody needs to show that they're willing to make the effort. If they're not willing to make the effort, don't bother. So what's the path of least resistance? There's a whole class here on how to use the HELOC system properly. It's free. And if they're not willing to do that, leave them be, and let's just keep moving on, because we're not going to be waiting around for stragglers. And we've got, almost 400 people in our group, and really less than 25% have turned up. That tells me everything about opportunity and readiness. And so once we keep moving, we're not coming back. And so those of you that end up being founding members, we're going to a separate platform. That Facebook group that we currently have, it'll still run, because that's a lifetime proposition. But we're going to be over here doing the real heavy lifting and changing thousands and thousands of lives. So there's a link in this agenda. Send them off. In fact, if they sign up for this this training, they'll be able to watch the replay. Just forward this, and I would really appreciate if you do that. And then get a copy of the book. Read the book, and not some of the ones on Amazon, they're outdated, because I think we're already into the 4th or 5th edition. So make sure that if they're going to get the book, get it through the website, because you'll get the latest edition. And then in this agenda, they'll also have the recording to last week's session. So those of you that want to share this information with friends and family, just send them the recording that you're going to get, the email, forward that, and then we'll see. So with that, I'd like to wrap it off. Oh my gosh, I've gone over half an hour, but that's for today. And so next week, change of agenda. We are going to do part 2 of today. Bring all of your questions, and Kobe will be taking the floor. And meanwhile, also, please play around with this platform. Create a free account like I asked you to. This is what we're going to be using for those of you that are founding members to make the presentations. It is incredibly easy, has a lot of functionality, but this is one of the things that I need you to do. And I'm not going to be being able to train you on this stuff. So this is all part of the self-efficacy, stepping up and showing that you deserve to be sitting in front of a CEO or a HR manager saying, let me explain to you how this concept works. Because the last thing I want for you is to be in front of those people and be embarrassed, because you will get eaten alive by a decision maker like that, because you don't get a second chance.